Hey there, Adam Thomas of Sugarshacknation. Here we are, Sunday afternoon. A couple of y'all were out there wondering where we were Friday night for our Friday night cocktail. So our nephew Thomas was asking about that, saying we missed you, we didn't see it. So a couple days late, Thomas. So here we are, Sunday afternoon. Annie and I have been working in the yard all Saturday and Sunday, cutting up a bunch of wood, couple dead trees that we need to take down, getting all brush all burned up. Out in the burn pit. I thought it was fitting. I found this cocktail recipe online on Food and Wine, and it is called a lumberjack julep. So we're going to make that real quick for you, and then I'm going to give you our 2020 maple season recap of what we learned here at Sugarshacknation. Won't be too long. So, but first let's get into the lumberjack julep. So we're going to use a bourbon, and we're going to use a rye whiskey, and we're going to use maple syrup. So three great things. And we're going to take a glass. We're going to muddle up a little bit of mint at the bottom. Well, first by doing that, now it's going to just release all those kind of oils in those leaves and make it taste really good in this drink. So just got to hit them up a little bit. And then the next what I'm going to do is use a little bit of maple syrup first. Depending on how sweet you want it. We don't like them too sweet, but just a touch. So I'm going to use about a quarter shot of maple syrup that goes in there. Why I like to use the maple syrup first is because then you're going to use your bourbon next. And that bourbon will act as it kind of gets all that maple syrup out of there. So we're going to do about a 1 ounce. So 1 ounce of bourbon in each one. It's a 1-to-1 ratio of the bourbon and the rye whiskey. So about an ounce of each. Now, it also called for a cold mint julep cup, which here at Sugarshacknation, our mint julep cup is sitting right next to our Moscow Mule mug, which is at the store. We just use a nice glass. So we're going to do that. Got all three ingredients in there. We're going to take some crushed ice, top that off, get a little bit more of the ice. We're going to do a little bit of a twist on ours. Doesn't call for it in the recipe, but we always like a good little seltzer touch on top. So we're going to just give a little bit of a carbonation on top, which we like. We are going to stir that. And then all you need next is just a little mint leaf on top for a garnish. And then 2 straws. And that right there is called a lumberjack julep. So, tasty. There you go. So, recap 2020 maple season for us. Starts off with me. We start February 22nd. And what I do is basically write down everything in a journal. I start our tap date and how many gallons I get per season, per day. Write it all down. When I go get my propane, all that kind of stuff goes in that journal. So during the season I can look back, or next year I can look back and compare where I get my sap from, whether it's up the road, whether it's here, how many gallons I get here, how many gallons I get up there, and see if it's compare for next year. So that all goes into a journal. But right now I'm already looking towards next season. What I learned this season, I like to write down in that journal also, just to make notes, because when next season comes, I usually forget it. So one great thing to do is once the leaves start coming out up here in Maine, and it's a nice summer day, go out and find your maple trees that you think you want to expand into. It's a great time to do it. Get out in the woods, look for your maple trees, and then I tag them. So I just use a button cap that you just get at your lumber store. Just go get a little box of those. Go tag your trees in the summertime. Then that gives you a nice knowing that once those leaves are gone in February, you don't have to start looking up at the trees and trying to figure out what's a maple, what's not a maple. You've already done that. You've already done that in the summertime, which is a great time to do it. Other key points that I've learned this year is the use of a sap hydrometer. It checks your sap content and the sugar content right from the tree, which is key, and you can monitor it during the season. If it starts dropping way off in the end of the season, you cannot collect that sap, which I learned this year, which is great. For me, you guys know in my earlier videos, I was looking to increase my production on the propane burner I had. I thought it worked out pretty good, but I think next year, I had enough sap this year. We got about 265 gallons this year. I think I'm going to upgrade to a wood burning arch next year. So that's another thing we're going to be doing this summer, is looking for someone to make my arch for me, which I think there's someone over in Western Maine that makes small arches for the hobby guy. I'm going to look at him, bring him my pan and say, what can we do? But that means then we're going to be doing a flue up in the sugar shack to get that all worked out. So there'll be a lot of videos maybe going on this summer, which as you know, the maple season just doesn't end in February and March. It's really an all season, all year long process. So we'll keep you updated. But until then, go make yourself a lumberjack julep. Get outside, enjoy the outside, get some fresh air, and we'll talk to you later on. Cheers.